Hi there, Crafty Pals, Louise with you. Thanks so much for checking out this video. It's a 12 by 12 scrapbook layout, and it's really just a for fun page today. So I'm very lucky that I get to represent Paper Rose design team, and they are very generous with their products. I have a huge stash, and so I wanted to showcase those a little bit more today, as well as be able to get through my stash and get a few bits and pieces done. And of course, get some photos scrapped and some memories recorded. Now, this beautiful floral wreath, straight away I knew that it was going to be a really lovely background, and it didn't need much. So I think that's sometimes a little bit of a challenge when you're creating with this style, is that if the paper already has plenty of details, it can be hard to sort of embellish and build upon that when you've already got so much going on. And my best way to highlight it is to sort of think a little bit outside of the box. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to actually tuck my photo in behind that floral cluster. So I do need to get a new craft knife. So I'm using just a dodgy old Stanley knife at the moment because my craft knife blade has actually completely died. So yeah, you see a bit of a mix of me using my craft knife and doing some fussy cutting, and then simply tucking that photo strip of photos of myself, which is a bit of a change, into that sort of little cut area. And I just use some ordinary old masking tape over the back just to hold it in place, because again, no one's going to see that. It's going to be in an album. So don't be afraid to use products that are not necessarily designed for what you would think you should use them for. Now, this is quite an interesting series of photos. I do not get many photos of myself. It's one thing, I am always like snapping photos of the kids and the kids in hubby and events that we're going to, and even just like the daily life photos. The only time I seem pardon me. The only time I seem to snap a photo of myself is when I have a drink in my hand. And look, they're not all alcoholic, okay? Some of them are coffee, but it's really funny because I have just this camera roll that are selfies of me, and I have a drink in my hand. So why not showcase that? You know what? I'm going to try and take more selfies where I don't have drinks in my hand. But at this point, it's kind of become a little bit of a theme, and I feel like I should keep going with it. So different places that we've been. So the coffee was barley. The melon drink is on a cruise, and then the other cocktail there is from a work event where we were at this really interesting kind of location. It was like a brewing kind of company where they made their own like gins and different spirits, and it was actually like you got to eat your meal and stuff in the brewery. It's a really cool little place that I would generally never have gone to, except that it was a work event. So yeah. Of course, I snapped a photo, and that's what we're working on today. Now, different Paper Rose products. So these new little word titles that are able to be double mounted. So you have the word, and then you have the little backing behind it, which I thought the word enjoy was absolutely perfect for this, because what else am I going to do but enjoy myself? And I'm going to pop that up onto some foam and use that as my title. Now, I've also snuck in a few little die cut embellishments there. So you'll see how I have actually cut little slits in that background paper, and then tucked leaves and different florals into just sort of enhance that background. Like I said, it is really hard to already have this beautiful background and try to add to it, and it's not necessary for you to add to it. If you don't feel like it, then don't do it. But for me, I just have so many products and so much stash. If I can take the opportunity to embellish and add to something, then I want to do that. So really at the moment, it's just about adding leaves and different bits and pieces into that background until it's reached a point where I'm happy with how it looks. So because this is just for fun, it's not a design team project, it's great. I put too much pressure on myself for design team projects. So for this sort of thing, I get to actually just play for fun. And sometimes when I'm playing for fun, the results are actually a lot better than when I put too much pressure on myself. So try not to do that. But sometimes you can't help it. And at the end of the day, you've been chosen for a design team because somebody likes the way you create. So I try to keep to my natural creativity and just flow along with it. All right, so we're moving on just to add a little bit of a gold border. And then I had to think about, what else do I add to this? So is there anything that can enhance it, or have I done enough to call this a completed layout? I did leave it on my desk, came back to it, added some gold splatter in the top right and bottom left. And then I found this sparkle medium that I had picked up from Paper Rose, and I'd never used it before. So off camera, I had to practice with it first because I wanted to know how it was going to work. And I used my heat gun to set it on my practice paper. And I noticed that after I had heat gun set it, I added a second layer of colour. And because I had already heated up the paper, the medium set much better. So what I'm doing is, before I put the medium down, I'm actually heating the paper. And I have to be careful here because it's quite close to the photo. I don't want to warp the photo. But as you can see, all I'm doing is taking a paintbrush. I've got my heat gun pressed on there. And because I've already heated up the paper, the medium sets a whole lot better. And this is such a cool little product. So it actually just adds a little bit of shimmer over the top, and you can add as much or as little as you like. And again, I'm just spreading it around with a paintbrush and drying it onto the paper itself and adding little highlights of sparkle and shimmer. So this was just what the page needed. It just needed that little bit of enhancement with the gold border and the gold elements. I think this turned out wonderfully. I'm going to show you a little close-up of that shimmer, and you can of course check that out on Paper Rose Studios website. But how amazing does that look? So that's my finished page. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.